This is a big thrill for me to talk every year at this board meeting. Two reasons. One, I get to talk to you about transportation, my favorite subject, and two, you get to learn a little bit about transportation. So with that being said, I'm going to go through some snapshots, basically some of our statistics, our fleet, our new trip tracker, which has to do with field trips, our training program this winter that has probably been one of the worst that I've seen since 1977, 78, and then moving forward. General information, our student enrollment's about 20,435. Eligible to ride a bus is 17,210. Our district square miles is 119. When I came to the district in 2007, it was 127. But the state, for whatever reason, decided to scrunch some of those numbers and make it 119. So where we lost the mileage, I have no idea. Total miles driven in 2012-13, that is from July 1st, 2012 to June 30th, 2013, 2,680,000. Our drivers do a fantastic job. We drive many miles safe, and I couldn't be more proud. And you'll see more miles next school year, or this school year. Our number of drivers currently is 152. We have 36 bus aides that are all on special needs routes. We have 7 bus mechanics. We have 4 office clerks, 4 supervisors, and 33 subs. Roughly about 240 are at the transportation department. We are going to 74 schools. Last year I think we went to 71. We added just this past 2 weeks 2 special needs schools, one Arts Impact, which is over by Fort Hays, another Coleraine. We have some great foster parents in our district, and they foster special needs students, and wherever those students basically come from is Columbus, and they keep them in those schools, so we find transportation to go to those schools. Those 2 situations just happened in the past 2 weeks. So we're going to 30 public schools, 1 vocational school in our district, 6 preschools. We just added a new preschool over at Darby Dale. 2 preschool inclusions. Those are Head Start students that have been deemed with an IEP, special education. So by law, we have to transport those kids to that school. We go to 14 out-of-district schools, 12 charter schools, and 9 private schools. Just an FYI on charter schools and private schools, we have a policy that they have to have at least 15 students or more. We decided that, and basically at Franklin County Transportation, most of us do 15 to 20 students. That kind of guarantees that those kids will be riding that bus, and it's more effective and efficient if you have 15 or more kids riding the bus. So that is our parameters for any charter school that comes in. Otherwise, we deem them impractical, and we pay in lieu. Our average number of riders per day is 13,485. We actually do counts weeks in October. It's a T1 count. But what we do beyond that is count each month. We have drivers count on a Monday through Friday, a non-break week, so we can actually see who our ridership is, if our numbers are dwindling, if we can change stops, if there's an overcrowded bus. So we're always monitoring our numbers of students on the buses. Average miles driven per day is about 14,000. Number of bus routes is 157. The difference between bus routes and bus runs are a combination of runs. So a driver would have, what we do is in this district is a 3-tier system. So they have a high school, elementary, middle, or intermediate school. Those 3 would be 3 runs. So the runs on the next part of this is we do 567 runs in the district per day. We do 235 special education runs per day, 94 charter non-public runs per day, and our midday from 9 to 2 is an average of work shuttles, kids that can't survive all day at school, that need to come in later, need to go home earlier, or our preschool. So those are the 9 to 2 routes. We have 193 buses total. The average age is 8. We have our route buses, the average age is 7. We know our industry, for a year, a life of a bus should be about 15 years. Currently, our sub-fleet is about 14, so we figure that we need to get about 12 buses a year to stay intact of keeping that average down. Trip tracker. This goes along with our routing system and our fleet maintenance system. It's the same family. We went with this system to update our field trip tracker. It's a web-based program, Every school has access to it, so when they want a field trip, they can go into Trip Tracker. It kind of gives the budget, it gives where they want to go, how many buses they want, all the details. It comes to my office, we look at the trip. If there's any problems, we'll get it back to them. There's a counter on each principal and each clerk's desk, so they can see when they have field trips out, what bus number is assigned to them. It helps us with efficiency in billing. It helps us with efficiency in trip tracking. It's a great program that we just incorporated this year. Our training program, you all saw the K through 8 bus jive. It's had about 27,000 hits on it. They're all from me at my desk. Pretty proud of that. That kind of went nationwide, and we got a lot of good public relations from that. And every middle school and intermediate saw that video. Every elementary obviously saw that video. As you know, K through 3 is a big program in the state of Ohio. It has to be done by law the first 10 days of school. So that is part of our K through 3 program to teach the kids. We hope that by song, by action, they can learn the danger zones and be safe on the school bus. Mirror grids. Those are 9 mirrors on the bus. The bus driver's sitting in front. They have 9 mirrors around them. Mirror grids is set up, it's kind of like a tic-tac-toe board. You actually drive into it. You can actually set your mirrors so that you can see the crossover mirrors. You can make sure those mirrors are set the way they're supposed to be set, so your blind spots are limited. Every driver signs off on going through a mirror grid, making sure their mirrors are set the way that our standards and industry standards are supposed to be. Student stops, before school starts, we do a dry run on every single route. We make sure the student stops are appropriate, there's no hazards, and then the Board of Education obviously approves those stops, and then we get the privilege of changing stops when needed, and then we keep a list of those stops that are needed to be changed. Place of safety is a big deal in our state this year. It is for both resident side and non-resident side. So resident side, they stand at their place of safety. So if Mr. Schreiner was a bus student, I would have him stand at the rock or stand at the stop sign or stand at the corner. That would be his place of safety. We have the kids on the same side over here standing someplace, and then the bus driver will let this crew cross and let this crew on. So they are at a place of safety. When the bus arrives in the PM, they drop the kids off, they cross the street, they stand in their place of safety, the bus leaves, and they can go on home after the bus departs. The state feels that's the best way and best practice. Defensive driving, we try to put a bubble around those buses so that you're watching everyone else out there, especially when spring comes, the motorcycles, you're watching 270 traffic, you're just watching everybody, just trying to be defensive driving. I'm not too concerned about our drivers, I'm more concerned about other drivers, so if they keep that foot off the accelerator, kind of over in the brake, we practice defensive driving. Bus management, the best way to keep your bus in control is have your expectation, I always say minimize the rules. Keep the noise level down, keep your hands to yourself, and no eating or drinking on the school bus. So if you follow those 3 rules, basically you'll be okay. Winter driving has been a chore this year, and we'll talk about winter driving in a minute. But we talk about winter driving. That's one of the in-services we do. It's basically about how, if you're stuck, because believe it or not, we get our buses stuck in some strange areas, in some hills, in Columbus. How do you get out of being stuck? Do you turn your wheel to the left? Do you rock that bus back and forth? Do you turn it to the right, rock it back and forth? Do we get maintenance to help us push it out? So there's a bunch of different what-ifs. And how do you get your bus unstuck if it is stuck? Or if you're coming into a stop and you're sliding, how do you protect yourself and protect the kids? Bloodborne pathogens is a OSHA standard that everybody has to go through, and that's one of our in-services. And then pre-service and recertification class, that is a class that every bus driver in the state of Ohio must attend. And we hold classes here in our transportation lobby that people from across the state come to, or at least across central Ohio would come to. We hold that for our pre-service at least twice a year in our transportation facility. But it's a 5-day class. It's mandatory. It teaches them everything from first aid, CPR, bloodborne pathogens again, all the way to managing kids, laws in the state, railroad crossing, everything that you need to know as a bus driver. They are taught multiple times, and that is part of it. That recertification is a 6 year. So after you become a bus driver, 6 years later you have to go through a recertification class, and that is part of that pre-service class that everyone has to attend. This winter, this has been, like I said earlier, I was in 8th grade in 1978 when the blizzard, 77-78 school year, And I remember being out of school a couple weeks. I delivered the Citizen-Journal that year. I didn't deliver the paper that day of the blizzard. I just remember the house being very, very cold. I have not seen a winter like this. I don't remember temperatures being like this. I don't remember anything remotely close to this winter. This district was very forward-thinking. When they started getting diesel buses, they started getting heater blocks in buses. And every bus out there plugs in. And the heater blocks are basically blocks that are put into the engine, and that will warm that engine up to 35 degrees. Now, I say up to 35 degrees, and I don't want you to hold that to me. 35 degrees may be reached if it's 60 degrees out there. When it's below zero, it's not going to get up to 35, but it's still going to be warmer, and it's still going to produce more heat than what the temperature outside is. So the heater blocks have been very important and a great investment from this district to put in every single bus. We have a startup crew of 6 ladies that will come in at 4:45 in the morning, and they have about 20-25 buses. They grab the keys, they go out and fire up every bus. Our mechanics are there, so if a bus doesn't start, we're able to jump it prior to the bus drivers coming in and picking up students. So we do that 2 reasons. 1, make sure those buses start. 2, make sure they're warm, ice is off the windshield. And 3, we're not delaying school, and those buses will run on time. So our startup crew deserves a huge round of applause. They did a fantastic job and still will probably this week as the temperatures drop. We monitor the roads. We talk to the police department. We talk to other districts. We're always in contact to make sure the roads are safe. If a driver would have issues, we have hopefully enough other drivers around that one route that can help pick up students and help that driver where it needs to be. We monitor the radar, obviously, and defensive driving. Again, we tell the drivers, keep both hands on the wheels. I don't even want you calling me. I'll call you if I need something. Just keep both hands on that wheel. Bubble that bus around with bubble wrap, and just be careful. I'd rather you be late and instead of an accident. So that's kind of what we're doing, defensive driving. And our maintenance, we can't say enough, again, for Mark Waller and for the maintenance department. They are out there. They're troopers for us. I came in that first Wednesday when we had 10 inches of snow, about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. Those guys were out there trying to shovel and move 7 inches of snow. I had not seen it that wild in a wild time, and they really kicked some butt moving that snow and did a fantastic job. And they're out there for us, too. So after they do that, they will go place in areas we know we might have trouble and help push us out where we need to be pushed. So I'd like to thank them a lot for all their help. And the last thing is moving forward. We've been part of this elementary boundary project and the Phase 1, Phase 2. We are working on the boundaries. We are cloning our routing system, putting the new boundaries in, especially the ones that affect us next year. So we will be prepared to change the boundaries, work with the kids, have the drivers go out and drive, work with the school system. So we are part of the system and trying to make sure that everything goes smooth for startup on September 2nd next year. And that's it. Any questions?